Hi there, you're listening to the Estranged Heart podcast, and I'm your host, Kreed Revere. Welcome back to our returning listeners, and if this is your first time here, thank you for selecting this podcast to listen to. As we begin today's episode, I invite you to grab a cup of coffee or tea, settle in, and listen with an open heart. But first, the regular disclaimer. I am not a licensed therapist or counselor. Nothing within this podcast should be considered or taken as therapy. If you are in need of therapeutic support such as counseling, please seek out a therapist near you. Hi there. I'd like to give a few announcements and reminders before we jump into today's episode. I would like to acknowledge that over the course of the past week, I've had two estranged moms. One is a client of mine, a coaching client of mine, and the other is a member of one of my support groups. Both of them have had doors cracked open with their estranged adult children, and it was a great week in that manner, working with these moms who have just been working so hard at doing the work and getting curious and being open to change and entertaining different perspectives. And I just want to give kudos to them on a job well done. They both know that the road's not over. As a matter of fact, in many ways, the journey is just starting, right? The journey of reconciliation. And both of these moms have indicated, oh my gosh, we worked so hard to just try to get the door to open. And now that it's open, oh my gosh, now this brings a whole nother ball of wax of things to be considering, and new fears come to the table, rise to the surface, and just a bunch of new and different things that bring them to the table, a different table now to be working on and discussing. And so that kind of leads me into the next thing, and that is a reminder of the support groups. The new cohort of support groups will be starting the week of June 24th. And there are two groups for estranged mothers. There is a group for recently reconciled moms. There's a group for estranged adult children. And there will be a group for estranged adult children who are therapists and estranged mothers who are therapists. So if you're interested in any of those, please send me an email. Again, these groups will start the week of June 24th, and you can email me at theestrangedheart@gmail.com. Let me know which group you are interested in. Again, there will be two groups for currently estranged moms, one group for recently reconciled moms, one group for estranged adult children, a group for estranged adult children who are therapists, and a group for estranged moms who are therapists. So, as I've just indicated, these two moms who have had the doors cracked open with their adult children, they're recognizing they need a different type of support now that there's some communication with their adult child, and how to navigate what comes with reconciliation in order to stay reconciled and move into and maintain healthy relationships with their adult children. So if you're interested in support, and when I say these support groups, these are via Zoom, and they are capped, each group is capped at a maximum of 10 participants. So they're small groups, and if you're interested in joining one of those, just send me an email. And if you're interested in coaching support, if you'd like to be a coaching client or inquire about that, please drop me an email as well. I do have one space left for the month of June for a coaching client. So, on to today's episode, but first, a couple of quotes. The first is, in a world of algorithms, hashtags, and followers, know the true importance of human connection. And I do not know who said that. The next is, transformation isn't sweet and bright. It's a dark and murky, painful pushing, an unraveling of the untruths you've carried in your body, a practice in facing your own demons, a complete uprooting before becoming. And that is by Victoria Erickson. And the last is, want to know what your current or remaining personal discrepancies and limitations are? Be in relationship with another. And I don't know who said that. So with that being said, on to today's episode. Hi there. Welcome back to another episode. Today's episode is titled, Should I Keep Trying? Do I Want to Keep Trying? And how pause letters can help with this. Before I get too far into this, I have something that I wanted to share that a member of one of my support groups created, and it just struck me in such a way that I felt compelled to share it with my listening community for this podcast, and asked her permission. She did give that permission, but she asked to remain anonymous. So this came up around the time of Mother's Day and the struggle that estranged moms have with their identification as a mom. That when they are estranged, and typically if they're estranged from their only child or all of their children, it's how can I still be a mom? They feel like they're not a mom if they are estranged. And we did some work and some exercises around that, and she came back with this, and I just want to applaud her for her openness and willingness to look at what most of us look at as suffering and an indescribable, painful experience. And while that is very true for her, she took that and said, how can I look at this differently? How can I take back my role as a mom, even if I'm not in contact with my adult child? And so this is what she wrote. She said, I can still be a mother. During this estrangement, I can still be a mother. I can be a role model in how I conduct my life. I can be attentive to their needs, even if it involves the need for space or no contact. I can praise them often in a silent prayer, or if possible, in a text or verbally. I can tell them I am thankful for them in a prayer or other ways, if possible. I can teach life skills, how to be resilient, how to be a lifelong learner, how to seek help, how to embrace life, and how to be vulnerable. I can model my values of love, acceptance, inclusivity, and joy. And I just think that's just so beautiful. What a beautiful way to mother a human being in the absence of being physically with that child. It's just beautiful. And I want to thank her for allowing me to share that, and for her sharing it within our support group. Very profound. So you know who you are. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So today's episode came about when I have within the support groups, it's this question comes up fairly often on, is there ever a time when we should give up? Is there ever a time when we should just throw up our hands and say, to hell with it, I'm getting on with my life, and just leave them alone? And the first thing I want to acknowledge is there are two ways to look at this, right? There's the parent that says, should I give up? Should I back off? Should I give them space that they want and figure out a way to move forward with my life without them in it right now? And then there is the parent that says, should I just give up, forget about them, exclude them from everything in my life to include my will, um, talking about them to anyone, and just move on with my life and forget that I ever had kids? And I encourage you to sit with that. If this is a question that is in your mind, on your mind, about giving up, which one of those camps do you fall into? Because I do think that there are times when giving space, allowing distance and time to work its magic, so to speak. If you've been listening to this podcast for any length of time, you understand that I'm not a proponent of giving up. I am a proponent of letting things be, letting our children be. I am not a fan of giving up on our children. I've been an estranged adult child, and I know how, even in the midst of those estrangements, that if I had known my parent had just completely given up on me, it would have absolutely destroyed me. And I think that on some level, when an adult child feels that a parent has given, quote unquote, given up on them, um, it destroys their self-worth. It destroys their inner peace on some level, that there will never be, closure and things like that. And that they're looking at it as retaliation. To be as an adult child and think that your parent is retaliating because you've done something that you needed to do for you in the moment, is quite devastating. And I think in any relationship, whether that's a parent child, friendship, what have you, we all go through times and periods in our life when we want to step back from the relationship a little bit. We encounter discord and things like that. And the way that we need to process that and take time for that is to do just that, is to take some time and space, and to know or think or believe or have confirmation that the other person has said, well, to hell with them then. If this is how they're going to be, then they can just screw off and I'm just going to go do my thing. It's really, it's just not, and it just slams the door shut for any sort of reconciliation, or if there is a reconciliation, it generally is not on the level of a deep emotional connection. It'll be like a surface level connection. So I want to put that out there. I think that there's value in doing what I call composing a pause letter. And I think that this could be done for our children, for the adult children, and for the parents. Um, I'll speak mainly to the parents here, but I guess it could go both ways. If we are at a place in our life where we as a parent have, um, for our own mental health, right? We've reached a place within this relationship. It's been a struggle for us. There's been immense suffering for us. And by me saying this, I'm not negating the suffering that happens on the end of the adult child, but I am speaking to the parents here, and especially the moms. When we get to a place where we are no longer functioning in a capacity that allows us to grow and evolve and experience happiness and joy and, um, doing things that make us feel fulfilled in life, then I do think that there's a time to step back, right? And what I encourage parents to do, and again, this is not a giving up, right? I think that there's a time to really sit and reflect. Am I wanting, should I give up? Do I want to give up? Or am I really, is it just that I'm wanting some space and some time to sort through some things, right? Um, and I think that there's value in writing a letter that says, we are going to honor our adult child's need for space, um, and that we are going to stop reaching out. Generally, that comes with, some sort of time frame on, saying, for the next 6 months or a year or what have you, I'm not going to reach out. I'm going to honor the space that you've asked for, space and time. So I'm going to step back. And if I don't hear from you within a year or so, then I will reach back out. And at that time, there's the opportunity for the adult child to say, yes, I'm ready to re engage, or no, I'm not. Um, and then that is something that can potentially continue on. Now, if your adult child has said to you, do not contact me, do not reach out, I don't want to hear from you, then that is one thing. And it is important to honor that. And in that case, you would not want to send a pause letter, right? They have demanded that you not contact them. Um, but outside of that, I think sending a pause letter that can say, I'm honoring this for you, and I'm going to step back. I'll reach back out in about a year, 6 months, see if anything has changed. And if it hasn't, that's okay. I'll continue to give you your space. Um, and to let them know within that letter too that your door is always open. So they get this letter, they read it, and they're like, okay, she's not going to reach out for a year. But at the 8 month mark, they feel like they need to reach out to you. They want to reach out to you. That you've already said in that letter, your door's still open for them. They can always reach out to you, right? One of the things this does is I think it gives a gift to your child, because oftentimes the adult children kind of sit with, a lot of anxiety about, oh my gosh, am I going to get a text? Am I going to get a phone call? Um, am I going to get a knock on the door? Um, my phone's ringing. Is it mom? Is it dad? Is it? And so there's a lot of anxiety about the unknowns, not knowing if the parent's going to reach out or that type of thing. And so it can reduce your child's anxiety if you let them know that for a year, 6 months or a year, you're not going to reach out. And in one way, it's like the adult child can take a sigh of relief, like, oh, okay. I know at least for the next year, she's not going to reach out. And this gives me time and space to figure out what I want to do, if anything, right? Another thing that it can do is a lot of adult children, I've talked about before, don't know how to come back after a long period of estrangement. Um, they don't know how to re engage. And this pause letter can offer a solution to that. They can say, oh my gosh, she says she's not going to reach out for a year. Great. If at the end of that year I feel like I'm ready to re-engage, I know that she's going to reach out, and at that time I can open the door, further the conversation, etc., things like that. So, I think it can be a gift to your child. And again, this is, it takes a different perspective in looking at it that way, right? And it also can give you space and time you need to do your inner work, to heal yourself, to get yourself turned around so that perhaps at the end of that year, your adult child will want to re engage with you, and you will be in a very different place to re engage. They will come back to a parent who has been taking care of themselves, has been doing the work, and is ready to re engage in the relationship on a different level and in a different way. So I think there's value in having a pause letter that can help um, lower this urgent the urgency of having this feeling a need to disconnect, right? And we can be much more thoughtful about it and methodical instead of reactionary and just firing off something or shutting things down permanently, um, in a way that maybe that's not necessarily what we actually want, when what we really want is simply some space. And as for the kids, the adult children, I think that this is something that you could do, right? If you feel okay to do that, if you haven't already done that kind of thing. But it's to say, I need a year of no contact from you. And I hope that in this year's time, I'm going to take time to reflect on me and do my own healing. And I hope you'll do the same. And if you'd like to reach out to me in a year from now, I'm open to hearing from you, and we can decide at that point in time if we are both ready to re-engage in the relationship, right? This kind of stops the no contact and the I don't know where things stand, and the assumptions that the other person should know what I'm thinking, and respect things, and when they haven't really been told, or haven't been told in a way that they can understand, right, and hear, kind of thing. So I hope that this can help, I guess, nurture in a way, um, repair, and eventually reconciliation. I know that it's hard to send something like this when you're in the throes of a new estrangement, or you're in the throes of a highly emotionally volatile situation. You may not be able to write a pause letter right now, but maybe it's something that you can kind of put a pin in and come back to later and say, maybe this is what I want to do, right? Um, and again, see if this is a way of not giving up, but instead an active, I need time and space. Here's what I'm suggesting. Here's what I'm going to do. And for the parents to reiterate that the door is always open. And for the kids to say, I need this time and space to work on me, and I hope you'll do the same and work on yourself, right? And again, listening to the words that I just said, I hope you will take this time to do that versus I need you to, or I demand that you do this, that, or the other thing, right? Because we can't control another human being. We can only control self. So with that being said, I think I'll leave it here for today. Again, I think all of us need to know that we are important and that people haven't just thrown their hands up in the air and said to hell with it when it comes to a relationship with us. I just think that it's hurtful and it's damaging and it's not helpful in helping to heal. So with that being said, if you would like support in creating a pause letter, wondering if you should send a pause letter, have questions about it, or if you're looking for coaching support, please feel free to reach out to me. Again, the email address is theestrangedheart@gmail.com. And yeah, take care of your hearts. And I ask you to entertain letting things be versus giving up. Until next time. This brings this episode to a close. I hope that this time together was time you feel well spent and that you are able to find some takeaway nuggets to help you on your journey, wherever you may be on your estrangement and reconciliation path. If you feel you've received something helpful or positive from this podcast, please consider following us, sharing this podcast with others, leaving a positive review, perhaps entertaining becoming a guest on our show, or following us on social media, on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok under the same name, The Estranged Heart. As a reminder, there is an online support group on Facebook. If you are a estranged mom who identifies as being spiritual and approaches estrangement with a sense of curiosity rather than blame and judgment, and desire to do inner self-work and reflection, please seek us out. We can be found at facebook.com/estranged mothers support group. And lastly, if you are an estranged parent or an estranged adult child and would like to have your story shared on the podcast, anonymously or not, please reach out to me via email at theestrangedheart@gmail.com.